Hey, my name's Nessie, and I'm going to explain why Rocket League is genius game design. It's because it does the job of implementing the closest thing to a real-life sports experience in a video game. Reasons being body control, interactions with the ball, and team play mechanics. In real life, sports are played with humans. What a surprise. Yes, humans. And human bodies can be used to manipulate a ball in the way that players move their fingers, their hands, their feet, their legs, their head, etc. So for a video game to try to map out the amount of possible inputs from a human to a controller or a keyboard is just impossible. So now we have games like 2K, Madden, NHL, FIFA, MLB that try to put real sports into video games by automating parts of it. And I'll explain. So, for example, in 2K, if your player has the ball, they'll automatically dribble it for you. All the skill required in real life to grab the ball, bounce it up and down with your hand, and moving your arm in rhythm is totally, completely lost. This kind of automation is also present in things like passing, where simply just clicking a button will aim and put enough power and arc on the ball to go directly to a teammate like a magnet. Or things like juking in Madden, where if you just push the stick in one direction, it'll move the whole character's body and legs to the left. The key takeaway here is that these video games do not give you the complete body control that real-life sports do, and instead, they limit the amount of possible physical capability you have as a player. Rocket League solves this input problem in a genius way via cars. They strip the human body of limbs and extremities, and all that's left is a cube, technically a rectangular prism. And while that might sound overly simplified, it actually gives the players more control over their bodies because there are less inputs required to move them, mapping them more easily to a controller or a keyboard. They can drive forwards, backwards, turn in a direction, and drift for sharper turns, covering every angle on the ground. In the air, you can spin around every axis using or not using air roll, and you can also jump, flip, and boost, all three of which are used for making sharper, quicker movements like a juke in football or a check in hockey. And these are key components for interacting with the ball. Rocket League gives the player complete control over their body so that there can be total physical interaction between car and ball. Unlike games such as NHL, when a player touches the ball in Rocket League, they do not automatically possess it. Rather, the only thing that players can do with the ball is hit it. That's it. What might appear as lazy game design, in that this is the only action possible, it's actually quite the opposite, because with a limitless amount of body movement and this singular simple interaction with the ball, possession of the ball in Rocket League comes down to how skilled a player is with their car. Just as in real-life soccer, player possession of the ball consists of controlled hitting of it with their feet. There is actually another layer of depth in this interaction, which is how players can hit the ball in Rocket League. To account for all the options in a real-life sport, Rocket League cars can use boost, flips, and wheels to put different levels of power on their hits. In hockey, for example, the puck doesn't simply bounce off of players' sticks the same way every time. If a player winds up and hits the puck with a slap shot, it'll go flying. On the other hand, if a player carefully absorbs the speed of an incoming pass, they can stop the puck completely. In Rocket League, players boost to increase the speed of their car, which can be used for hitting the ball hard. Flipping also gives the car a quick burst in speed. But while boosting can only push players forward, flips can be done in any direction. So boosting full speed up to a ball, only to jump and backflip before contact, will create a soft touch. Rocket League allows for another way to hit the ball softly with the wheels of a car, because the wheels return less force on the ball than the roof does. So with all these different levels of power you can use your car to hit the ball with, passing, shooting, and dribbling all have a great range of possibilities. Boost isn't just used for hitting power and flying. Its most important use is to regulate the pace and team play of the game. In real life, if a player goes for a steal on defense and fails, there's a certain amount of recovery time as the offensive player keeps going. An extreme example would be a soccer defender sprinting all the way to the other team's goal and missing a tackle. The offense could continue with moving the ball up the field, while that defender is too gassed to catch up with them. In Rocket League, Boost is your stamina meter. Players are encouraged to use Boost to make a play on the ball because the extra speed gives you an advantage. After challenging the ball once, players are dumb to try to go for the ball again without any boost, just like the exhausted soccer defender who ran full field and doesn't have any energy left. Players have to pick up more boost from the pads scattered across the ground before they can challenge again. In a 2v2 or a 3v3, this means that the other teammates have to make their own tries at the ball while the boost retrieving player recovers back to defense. The result of all this is the rotation dynamic, which is when players basically take turns going for the ball, retrieving boost, and repeating the process in the order that the team has established. So what's the point of all this rambling? Because of all the genius game design I've discussed, Rocket League is the best of the best when it comes to sports video games, and nobody else is close. Madden, FIFA, and all the rest, they do a good job to give players a replica of the real-life sport they're associated with, but basketball, hockey, and all those are played with humans, and that isn't ideal for a video game. Rocket League's cars that allow for total maneuverability, simple physics and hits on the ball, and their boost system for rotational team play are what make the game actually feel like a real sport. Other games have tried their hands at the Rocket League formula, only to fall short due to use of automation, capped physical freedom, or simply just lack of support for the game. The point is, Rocket League is not the end game. There's opportunity for a competitor to emerge, and it has to do with possession of the ball. Rocket League covers sports like hockey and soccer, where all players can do is hit the ball with a stick or with their feet, but it doesn't cover sports like football and basketball, where players can actually hold and grab onto the ball with their hands. What seems like a subtle difference is actually pretty significant considering how much more precise one can be throwing a volleyball as opposed to smacking it, for example. The next generation of multiplayer sports video games, the successors of Rocket League, are the ones that can figure out a way to implement this kind of ball possession without using automation and sacrificing the amount of physical possibility players can achieve.